Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is day 18 and today let's look at this news about rich Chinese return to Hong Kong as Singapore step up regulatory oversight. So what's happening? As you know, Singapore has always been a magnet for wealthy Chinese or billionaires from mainland China. Alright, those they have a lot of money, they like to put or relocate their money in Singapore in a professional and safe manner because they want their money to be kept in a safe manner in Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, or Switzerland, or some other countries where they can keep their money, as long as they can just relocate some part of the money outside of China. Because in China, it's not so safe as the authority can just confiscate your wealth without questionings. Okay, it's up to them. If let's say they found that you are involved in some criminal activities, you are found guilty, they can just confiscate your wealth. Okay, so there are a lot of wealthy Chinese or rich Chinese, they want to move their money to Singapore. But why now they are living in Singapore? Thought it's the heaven. Yeah, it's a heaven. It has always been a heaven because of reputable financial system, and it's a very safe country. And if you put money there, right, it feels safe, and it's also very easy to start a business remotely, even you're not in Singapore as well. Okay, but why are they living? And even back to Hong Kong and even to some other parts of the world, like maybe Japan, Dubai, or maybe in Switzerland. Okay, it's very simple because of recently in the year 2003, that was 2 years ago, there was like a money laundering case worth 3 billions. Okay, it was one of the largest money laundering cases in Singapore. In fact, it's so serious that it triggered the whole government to step up to tighten the regulations to control the transactions, financial transactions. So there are 10 people, okay, Chinese nationals. All of them are Chinese nationals, and some of them brought foreign passports, like from Turkey, from Cambodia. And they just give them passport because those passports can be bought with huge amount of money as investment. Alright, so nowadays, a passport can be a sort of business because the government needs money. So they can just sell them, provided you have money and also you have reasons why you want to buy the passport. Okay, that doesn't matter, but they're just a group of basically Chinese nationals. They are doing money laundering based in Singapore. And also, if you look at the news, right, like there's this in landed property, there are just so many luxurious cars and also very expensive watches and a lot of cash, of course, and worth 3 billions. That's very scary. And after that, right, so Singapore government start to step up because there are some people just basically making use of Singapore reputable systems as a loophole or as a stepping stone. They just found a loophole in Singapore, and from there they just do all this thing at the expense of Singapore, a strong financial system, and also safe environment. That is actually very bad. If you look at South Asia, right, not only in Singapore, like even Malaysia, Philippines, and even like the recently, right, Myanmar, Cambodia, and all these countries, they are full of some people from China or Chinese nationals. They are operating some businesses illegally or in a gambling business, online gambling business, especially in Laos, Cambodia, at the border town Myanmar, and even in Philippines, where they operate online gambling business, not in Philippines. Okay, maybe they're cooperating with the local Filipino, but they are operating outside of Philippines. Okay, it's happening across South Asia, and I'm sure that's also happening across the world as well. And that's why you see like a lot of scam calls, a lot of this kind of money laundering activities going on in and out of South Asia, or for this case, 3 billion in Singapore. Singapore is a clean country, like it's a very reputable country with safe environment and professional government. And some of these Chinese nationals, they can even find loophole. If you have been staying in Singapore before, right, you know that Singapore is very strict. Like there are tight regulations to make sure that the country's society is in order, and everything is just very systematic. But some of these Chinese nationals, they can find loopholes. So I'm not sure whether I can say they're smart or what, but it's just that they can find loopholes and they can make use of all the systems to earn money and make it as a base to do money laundering for $3 billion. So that's why this could be a reasons why there are some wealthy Chinese. I wouldn't say all of them. These are just some of the few cases. Okay, I would say crook that spoil the whole cases because there are quite some wealthy Chinese, right? They're not like that. Their intention is to want to put their son and daughter in Singapore and study, okay, in a good intention. But these 10 people just a crook and just spoil everything and spoil the reputation of the Chinese people, especially the wealthy Chinese. Alright, so but even today, there are still a lot of governments still want the rich Chinese or anyone you are rich. As long as you are rich, then you can just move here. That Malaysia right now, they're talking about like a lot of people from China, even Taiwan, and they want to move their wealth here to buy property here instead of buying in their own country, because in their own country is so expensive compared to here. Although we locals, like Malaysians, still feel like it's expensive, but for them it is cheap, or they can buy it in a fraction of the original price that they buy in China or maybe in Taiwan. Okay, so I think it's quite normal to see that the government, Singapore government, is stepping up to trying to control or mitigate these kind of activities, which can be a good sign. And okay, let's talk about why there is a shift, a trend. And there was a time where there were a lot of Chinese, they migrated or they moved their wealth from China to Singapore. There was a time where there was a COVID-19 back in the year 2022, right? The time where, okay, the time, like China was very strict. So in fact, he has one of the strictest, how would say, system to curb COVID-19 pandemic. So there are a lot of Chinese at the time that decided to relocate their fund or their wealth to Singapore or some other parts of the world, but mainly in Singapore, because they also want to move their son or daughters to study in Singapore and to in the universities and also in maybe the high schools or international schools. All right, as long as they just put their son and daughter in Singapore, then everything should be fine. So there's a wave. There's a wave like the year 2002, most of them just moved from China to Singapore. And now they want to shift back to Hong Kong. But to be honest, I'm not sure how long until they can last. Not sure whether Hong Kong will still be the same like before. As you know, Hong Kong is now not the same like 20 years ago, where it's now under China. And definitely it's under China after 1997. Then there's this quite a lot of intervention, as you see, in a lot of systems, financial system and so on. And in fact, if you look at Hong Kong, right, there are also a lot of mainlanders or the wealthy Chinese from mainland China to shift some of their funds to Hong Kong as well. And if you check the universities, there are also a lot of students doing master and PhDs, and even some of the professors are also from mainland China. Okay, so not sure how long they can last to put their fund there, or maybe they should consider putting it at some other countries, maybe in UAE, Japan, or maybe in the United States. I don't know. Right, so usually they're talking about Malaysia as well. Malaysia now is also very popular for mainland Chinese to shift their wealth and also to travel and also to start a business. All right, so if you have been in business line, you know that Malaysia is now full of Chinese investors or businessmen who open restaurants, who open businesses to operate in Malaysia. All right, so that's why this could be a reasons why they are rich Chinese decided they want to leave Hong Kong. They want to leave Singapore, or maybe they will, how to say, the interest on Singapore is waning because they found that maybe it's no longer like before. Okay, there's tight regulations on their wealth. So they want their wealth to be so-called safe and doesn't have a lot of intervention from the government to keep tracking their wealth, and also maybe it could be a high possibility they can confiscate their wealth, So they might be moving to other parts of the world. Alright, so the thing about this, it might be a good news for some people because during COVID-19, during the pandemic, there is a huge amount of money flowing into Singapore, and that causes like the property in Singapore to just jack out. Everything just become expensive. But will this sign, like some of these very Chinese decide to leave Singapore, will this actually trying to bring down the cost? Which is highly impossible because the damage is done. I mean, they just check out the price. But the thing is that we can it low down or just to bring down the cost of buying HDB or even condos. Okay, all this depends on the Singapore government, how they react and make sure that the property prices are under control and affordable for the local Singaporeans. Alright, so that's all for me and a little opinion about what I think about this. Okay, hope you don't mind, it's a bit long. And what I think about this as well. And please leave a comment down below so that I want to, know your thoughts, and also we can discuss about this in the comment section right below. Alright, see you in the coming videos. Bye bye.